This is my podcast pitch presentation. For our pitch, we were told to research about Foley and what he done. His full name was Jack Donovan Foley. He was born in New York in the year of 1891, but sadly passed away in Los Angeles in 1976. He was famously known to be a developer in sound effects, such as in techniques in filmmaking. He created and developed a method using sound effects with live movie actions. These were famously known as Foley sounds. The definition of a Foley sound is a reproduction of everyday sound effects that are added to film, video, and other media in post-production, enhanced audio quality. This pretty much means is all the odd, funny, and normal sounds effects that you hear in movies and movie trailers, short videos and films, all come from all different types of Foley sounds. As you see in the image, they're creating their own Foley sounds. After I've done some research about podcasts, I looked up the definition of a podcast, and it's a digital audio file made available on the internet for downloading to a computer or audio device, typically available in series, new installments of which can received by subscribers automatically. But in its simplest form, which I've done, which is when a pair or group of people record an audio file of them sharing information and discussing about a particular subject. The average length of a podcast is between 35 to 45 minutes. When it came to planning my podcast, we was required to interview / feature a guest of any of our choice to be in our podcast. I chose a couple of YouTubers as I thought they had more time on their hands and wouldn't be as busy as any other professional or other famous person in the media. So I chose a couple of the YouTubers which all do podcasts of their own, so I thought they would have some experience. So I interviewed the top ones on Instagram and the bottom by email, and I thought this was the most effective way to contact them as the best I could. I got some examples of podcasts that I actually view and listen to in my own time. The top is a example on a YouTube channel which I'm subscribed to. It talks about latest gaming news. The middle one is BBC 5, when they discuss about latest football rumours and news and anything that's been happening recently. And the bottom one is another channel called IGN, which this podcast speak about latest movies and discuss about their opinions about the movie. Task 1 and 2. Task 1 I speak about Foley and Foley sound, and task 2 is where I speak about all the different type of modes there are. Here's my documentary plan. It seems quite small, but I've planned it out how I wish to talk about it and then use my script involved in it. My introduction is of me introducing myself and what I'm doing and introducing the guest. I also speak about in the introduction why I chose the guest. And on my main debate, I will have bullet points on my script where I'll have points of discussion and questions to ask my guest in the podcast. And in the conclusion, I will just end the podcast saying thank you to the guest and just say goodbye. I have not written my script yet, but I plan to, like I've already said, bullet point what I'm about to say in the script and my questions and answers I have for my guest. This is my location, Recce. This is where it will be filmed, as I'm doing it by Skype call, so it will be in my home. Yes, there is enough space, and there's not a lot of chance of me getting a risk. As I've listed, there's lighting, natural lighting, windows, etc. On the right is the layout of my room. The bottom right corner is where I'll be filming, and it should be fun. This is the risk assessment for my podcast and for my room where it will be taking place. I've listed a couple of couple of risks that could happen, such as tripping over objects such as wires and shoes, um, which which could happen, and it could be fatal depending where you fall. Um, Another one will be wires exposed to liquids, such as me dripping or dropping a glass of water over a keyboard, or wires or plug sockets. And there's others such as like my chair breaking or ceiling collapsing or even the computer overheating. To prevent all of these, I had to just double check and make sure it's safe before recording the podcast. This is my equipment plan. This is what I will be requiring for my podcast. So I required or listed a microphone, an audio recorder, some XLR cables, a microphone stand, a pop filter. That's for the equipment, but for the software I require will be Premiere Pro and Audition. All this will be required from the college and the college's PCs. Production schedule, I'm currently working on this, but I have a quick layout which I will do. On the 24th I'll start the podcast, which I'm hoping to start the podcast at 8 o'clock at night on my computer, and I hope to finish 15 minutes later, 8:15. I'll edit after just to make sure there's not any twigs in there which need to be removed or and such as. I'll continue editing for a couple of days, but that's just to make sure it doesn't take too long. Lastly, this is my Harvard references. For the top one, which is where I researched who Jack Foley is, because I needed to know more, as I wasn't very confident on the subject. I found this out on the Wikipedia. Also looked up what is Foley sound. That's where I got my definition. And the bottom one is the podcast definition from Google, as I already knew what my idea of what a podcast is, but I thought it'd be great to have the facts and the actual definition of a podcast. That's it. Thanks for watching.